One question is playing on the minds of parents of young teenagers this week: to vaccinate or not?
Well, over the weekend, the UK's vaccine advisory body refused to give the green light to jabbing healthy children aged 12 to 15 years on health grounds alone.
The chief medical officers of the 4 nations will now likely have to make a decision on vaccinations for children this week.
So why did the Vaccine Advisory Board come to their decision? Well, we can find out more now from one of its members, Professor Adam Finn. Good morning to you, Professor. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. So why? Why did you come to this decision then?
Well, it's a tight decision, this one. To make sense of it, you have to understand that young, healthy teenagers are very unlikely to get seriously ill with COVID. We're looking now at the incidence of long COVID, and that's also quite unusual. And so the benefits to be gained by offering vaccine to all of these children are quite modest. On the other side of it, there's quite a high level of uncertainty around the safety of the vaccine in this age group. It's not because it's known to be dangerous, but it does cause side effects, rare, occasional side effects that could turn out to be serious. And so we very much prefer to recommend vaccinations for children when we're really confident that the benefits clearly outweigh the risks. And in this case, it's quite a close balance with a high level of uncertainty. That leaves us with a position where a slightly confusing message. And of course, we all prefer certainty and clear messages, but it wouldn't be scientifically honest to say that this was absolutely fine when we really don't know for sure that it is.
One of those side effects that you mentioned, and this is something that seems to have come to light in America, between the ages of 12 and 17, there have been, admittedly, very few, but there have been cases of inflammation of the heart. Now, as a parent here, that's one of those statistics that you think, right, OK, that could possibly have changed my opinion now on the safety of this vaccine.
Yes, these are rare cases, and the good news about those cases is that the children affected do seem to, they can be quite ill, but they do get better quite quickly and go home from hospital seemingly well. And so far, we have no real concerns about this. The problem is, though, that the investigations done on the hearts of these children do show some changes on the scans. And it will take some time to find out whether those changes resolve and they end up with a perfectly normal heart with no risk of future problems or not.
So let's just look at what you just said now. So if you're a parent of 12 to 17-year-olds, you're faced with the decision here whether to vaccinate your child or not. You've already said at the start of this chat, very little likelihood that a child is going to have any issues whatsoever from COVID. Very rare occasions when they do. However, on these rare occasions with heart inflammation, you can't be sure that there isn't long-term damage?
That's right. We can't be absolutely sure of that. And that's why, indeed, the JCVI has hesitated to make a clear recommendation to immunise all these children, because it is conceivable that it will turn out that there will be a small number of children who could have long-term injury as a consequence of this. And we are very definite in this country that we don't recommend vaccination routinely unless we're really sure that the benefits outweigh the risk. It's not that we know that the risks outweigh the benefits in this case. It's just that we don't know yet for sure. And we do need to hear from our colleagues in the States where they've been seeing these cases, and also start to investigate cases that are turning up in this country in order to find that out.
Can I ask you a question then? Because another reason to vaccinate was people were saying, you know, kids are super spreaders. They carry it, they pass it on to everybody. So if they have the vaccine, they're less likely to pass it on to somebody else, bring it home to grandma or whoever it might be. But there's evidence saying that actually that's not the case either now.
For other viruses like influenza, that certainly is the case, that children are very efficient at spreading the virus around to each other and to their families and other people they come in contact with. In contrast, in the case of COVID, although children can get the infection, of course, and they can infect other people, they do appear to be less infectious than adults. So although schools being open will result in some cases and transmission, it's not the same story as with influenza. And the other side to this is that the vaccines that we have are a little bit disappointing in their ability to prevent onward transmission. They're extremely good at stopping you from getting seriously ill, which of course is a real risk for people of my age, but much smaller risk for young children. But they don't guarantee by any means that you won't get the infection or spread it to other people. They do reduce that risk, and therefore they could play a part in reducing transmission and outbreaks in schools, but they won't deal with the problem entirely.